Miniature Market has thousands of board games at discounted prices. Click the direct link below to see all of those discounted games. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. It's coming towards the end of the year, so I'm doing all my top best games of the year. Today we are focusing on the top 10 family games of the year. If you want to see some of the others, you can look into my channel, subscribe, and see all these other ones. I'm doing a whole slew of them at the end of the year. Top 10 family games, here we go.
Number 10.
This first one is called Moon River. This is a sort of a re-implementation, a new successor to the King Domino game. It's got a lot of differences. In this game, you are building your own tableau, and you're drafting pieces, but you're not drafting dominoes. You're drafting half dominoes. And there's a big timing element where you're trying to decide, when do I put my little puzzle piece half dominoes together? Which ones do I put together? Then when do I do it, and where do I place it? So there's a lot more depth than King Domino, but there's not a whole lot more complexity, I'd say. So you're building your own tableau, you're building it with drafting pieces that you're making. There's also different things that can go on, like gold and cattle and such. And then you can actually get these assistants that you'll be able to use their abilities to manipulate some of the things that are on yours, or sometimes even on other people's tableau. There's also scenarios at the end of the rulebook where you can actually set up and play the game very differently with different scenarios, which is really cool. If you liked King Domino, and you want it to have a little bit more depth, a little more decision making, but without a whole lot more complexity, I think it rivals the layer of depth that Queen Domino did, but this is more streamlined. So if you liked King Domino, you're looking for a little more, but without it being overly complex, so you can still teach it to non-gamers, Moon River is one to check out.
Number 9.
The next one is Everdell Farshore. Now this is another game that's sort of a spiritual successor, sort of to Everdell, a hugely popular game. This has same artist, Andrew Bosley. It looks amazing. Everdell Farshore. Now this shares a lot of the same DNA of Everdell, but they sort of streamlined some things and they re-implemented some of the mechanisms in the original that I found to be more engaging, more streamlined, and more enjoyable. In fact, I like Everdell Farshore more than I like the original Everdell. So if you've never gotten into Everdell, this is a great chance to sort of feel pretty much 80% of what Everdell does, but in a different way. Again, there are differences in it. There's a cool little track that you're going up sometimes that's going to be giving you things over the course of the game, but you also get points for the end of the game. There's easier ways to combo cards together by using anchors and things like that. So they've really upped the gameplay experience. I think they've learned from that game. They've made a better game in my opinion, but it still shares a lot of the DNA and the gorgeous art of Everdell, and that's Everdell Farshore.
Number 8.
This next one is from a dynamic duo that I love, Michael Kiesling and Wolfgang Kramer. This is Wandering Towers. Now, this is a game that came out from Capstone Games. Perfect family game. It's got a decent amount of randomness to keep things even, but there is some strategy there where you're trying to basically get all your wizards in the Raven's Keep. But by doing this, you're moving them around. It's card play. You're playing a card and you're either moving some of your wizards around or you're moving towers. But the trick is, when you move towers, you can pick up a tower and it has other towers on top of it, so you're moving a bunch of them. But when you move towers, you can also cover other people's wizards and they're sort of hidden. So there's a little bit of a memory element where it's like, huh. Then somebody else moves a tower on top of that. And now you're like, huh, I want to get my person out of there. Which tower was mine under? I gotta move this one? Okay, move it. I can see my guy now. Now I can move him, try to get him in the Raven's Keep. There's also some special ability cards that ratchets up the complexity and the abilities that you can do. You can actually play with as many of those as you want. So you could really turn it into a pretty thinky, crunchy game if you add all the abilities, but you can also make it very simple for families as well. Fun little sort of abstract game where you're trying to get all your wizards in, playing against other people, card play. It has a lot of great things going for it. For all these games, I've already reviewed these. If you want to learn more, you can definitely check out my reviews.
Number 7.
This next one is Neotopia. This is from Arcane Wonders. This is a game where you're sort of all working on building different aspects of a futuristic city. And you're playing these beautiful sort of rounded tiles, these acrylic tiles onto the board. What you're trying to do is either play tiles or grab some cards. These cards have patterns on them, and you're trying to make the patterns work. And so you're trying to place things. Now, when you place things, you're trying to set yourself up, but you might be setting other players up. You're trying to get a big contiguous group of your colored tiles as well, because players can play any colored tiles. There's an interesting way that you draft the tiles as to which ones you can actually take to place, and which parts of the city you can place them in depending on where you drafted from, which are interesting. Also, as you're getting points, you're moving up tracks and you're having 3 different scores depending on the section of the city that you're building in. The faster you go up those tracks, the faster you'll get better abilities, one-time uses to use. But also at the end of the game, the one you have the least of, you're multiplying that score. So you're trying to keep even as much as possible as well. A lot of interesting things, pretty streamlined, good tile laying game, lots of interaction. Good one here, Neotopia.
Number 6.
This next one is called Tribes of the Wind. This is an interesting game. It's different, where you get to see the backs of other players' cards, and so you can see how many cards people have of different suits. Then you have cards, and when you play a card, you'll get an ability based upon how many other people have cards and how many cards of those they have. Some cards you'll do great if somebody has none of those cards. Other times you'll do better if there's a lot of those cards out there. So it's very tactical as to when you play certain cards for abilities, and what you're trying to do is take all these wind riders and move them up. You're trying to get pollution out of the city and create more bigger parts of the city. You're trying to move the wind riders in. You've got these special goals that you're trying to go after. It's sort of like, it is kind of like, it's like a Euro game where you're getting resources, you're spending resources, you're doing things, but it's all built on the card play and then building your own tableau of city around that. It's a really unique game. I can't really say there's anything quite like it. You're also trying to unlock some asymmetric abilities that only you have that you're able to use to help you get the most points. The game is great, and it's very different from other games. So if you look, it also has Vincent Dutrait art, which will draw anybody in. So if you're looking for something that feels a little bit different from everything else, you should definitely check out Tribes of the Wind.
Number 5.
This next one is called Rome in a Day. This is a quick little filler game, 20 to 30 minutes, but it has mechanisms that I like. One, it has I Split You Choose. You're getting some tiles that are different terrain types in a city, and you're splitting them up into 2 sections. Then everyone's gonna reveal what they've split up, and you're gonna be taking tiles from your neighbor. And whatever they took, you're taking whatever they didn't. So when you're picking up your I Split You Choose, you're trying to think, what might they want, but what might I want? How much are they gonna be willing to sort of take to get this? And so you're drafting the tiles, then you're placing them in a city in your tableau building. You're doing city building with these tiles. You're trying to put like type terrains next to each other, but you're also trying to have certain buildings, because part of drafting is some of the tiles that you get will have buildings with them. You're trying to match that building with the same color tiles, either on top of it or next to it. So you're trying to make large groups, you're trying to put lots of buildings around it that are the same color. That's pretty much it. It's simple, but it's streamlined, it's fun. You have the city building aspect, the I Split You Choose aspect. It's a lot of fun. If you're looking for a great little filler, 20, 30 minutes, great family game, Rome in a Day.
Number 4.
This next one is Savernake Forest. This is an adorable little sort of tableau building game where everyone's building their own little forest, and you are selecting certain cards to put in your forest. Sometimes you're placing paths. These paths are going to have different food on them, like berries, if you will. And you're going to be collecting little critters to basically go down these different paths. Different critters will score certain points for what they eat. So you're trying to find the ones that you want, put them where they go, and connect them with paths of the things that's going to score them the most points that they want to eat the most. But you are somewhat restricted as to how big you can make your forest in certain ways. So you're sort of landlocked there, and you got some future planning, you got some card drafting, you get certain things depending on the cards you draft, but you're building your own forest. It is a ton of fun. It's gorgeous, it's cute. It's like, again, another little 20 to 30 minute filler that has a bit of depth there, but it's pretty simple. Great family game, Savernake Forest.
Number 3.
This next one is one that a lot of people probably passed over. It's got quite a boring name, The Number. It's got a boring box, and it looks boring, but it's not. It's a lot of fun. In this game, the game's called The Number because you're trying to come up with a number to help you score, but it's all about getting to the heads of all the other players. Because when you're gonna write a number like 999, right? Now, if your number is still there at the end of the round, you're gonna score points based upon those numbers. 9's great because you're gonna score 9 points. It's great. But if anybody else that has a lower number than you has even a single digit that matches yours, you're knocked out. So you're trying to think of numbers that other people won't work. Now, as the rounds go on, once you use a number, you can't use it again. So you can openly see what numbers other people possibly could select. So you'll be like, oh, only 2 people could select the 7. Are they gonna go for it now? Because each round, whoever has the highest number that's not removed gets a better bonus, and that bonus gets better and better. So there's a lot of sort of heuristics that happen in this game that are tendencies, but they're all out of the water once you try to figure out getting the heads of other players. It's one of those games you kind of have to play a whole game first, do horrible, and go, okay, I see what's going on here, let's play it again. Don't dismiss this after one play, because your first play is going to feel pretty weird and almost like the game plays itself. But once you learn it and you learn the little strategies there and you get in each other's heads, it is a blast. I've had a ton of fun with this. I've played it with multiple different groups. Everyone has really liked it. It's very different, and it is somewhat random at times. It feels random, but it really is about getting in each other's heads and messing each other over in fun ways. The Number.
Number 2.
Now this next one is called The Key, Escape from Strong Wall Prison. Now The Key is a series of deduction games. There's been many of them that have come out over the last few years. This one came to North America in the early, like January, February this year. This is the expert level. So there's an easy level, medium level, and expert levels. There's been many of these that have come out before this. This is the expert level, which it's hard. Mechanically wise, it's easy. You are just, grabbing a card from the middle. There's no turns. It's all sort of real time, but it's not a race. You're grabbing a card, you're looking at it, you're getting a clue, and you're deducing things from that clue behind your shield on a dry erase thing. And you're trying to figure out who the crime was, which laundry cart they used to escape, and where they're hiding out. But in this one, it's an expert level because you have to learn about where they are in the prison. You're looking at maps. You're looking at who's the gang leader of this person. You might be learning information. Here's the big twist. You don't know if they're telling the truth or not until later you find out if they're affiliated with that gang or not. That's what makes this one expert. This takes an aspect, if you've ever played a game called Awkward Guests, it takes the different aspects of deduction of looking at maps and drawing conclusions from things other than spreadsheets, and it does a better job, in my opinion, than Awkward Guest is. Now this one is an expert version, so this is there are easier ones out there that might actually be better to start with. I would try one of the easy ones if you're playing with kids. If it's adults playing, but maybe older children, start with one of the medium level ones. This is the expert level one, and it's on this list because, well, it came out this year. And B, I love this. This is my favorite one of the series, but you really have to like super crunchy deduction game to like this. Because again, weight-wise, I think it's a 2.0 weight on Board Game Geek. It's light. Draw a card, write down the clue. But from the cognitive load of trying to figure out all of the deduction in this one, it is a heavy-ish thinky game. Don't get me wrong. It might look cute and nice, and the mechanisms might be easy, but this is a crunchy deduction game. If this sounds like too much for you and you don't really love deduction, try one of the easier ones or the medium ones of this same series called The Key, designed by the same person who did The Crew, that popular trick-taking cooperative game that was a huge hit. Check this series out. This is my favorite, but it's also the one that will make your brain bleed. So maybe go for an easier one if you're not huge on deduction, but this game is so fantastic. The Key, Escape from Strong Wall Prison.
Number 1.
All right, my number 1 family game of the year. This is a re-implementation of a Reiner Knizia game. It used to be called Rondo. Now it's called Sunrise Lane. This was brought out by Horrible Guild. This game, I gotta say, my favorite game on this entire list, me personally, if you ask me which game you want to play, it's the last one I just mentioned. The Key, Strong Wall Prison. We say, well, why is this game a family game of the year then? Because when I'm making lists like this, people are going to look at my family game of the year and they're going to be like, oh, well, it must be great for families. This is a wide audience game. Gamers like it. People that have never played anything other than Uno or Clue or Monopoly like it. It has a wide audience where, like, The Key, the one that I recommended in this last one, that version of that is going to be too much for most people that aren't super into deduction games. Where this is a much, not to say safer bet, but for you, you're looking for, my recommendations. This is my highest recommendation for a family game that came out this year. It's super streamlined. You're literally playing cards and placing your buildings on that color on the board. But there's so much depth as to when you play those cards. How many of those cards do you play? Where are you placing them? Because there's different things. You're going to get different points depending on the number that's on the board that you're placing it on. You don't want to set up your opponents, because if you place one here, that leaves someone with a better scoring one right next to you. Are they going to build over there? You're also trying to go for end game goals, which weren't a part of the original Rondo game, where you're trying to have like the tallest building in certain neighborhoods, or you're trying to have the most buildings in certain neighborhoods, or you're trying to have the longest string of buildings throughout the entire city. So there's other long-term goals that you're thinking about, but the game is super simple. It's like play cards or draw cards. That's it. And even when you play cards, you get to draw cards. So things are streamlined, they move fast. If you play like 3 cards, you get to put a 3-story building of that color, but they all gotta be the same color. It's really cool. It's super simple. It's like a cross between Ticket to Ride and New York 1901 that came out a few years ago. So yeah, if you want to learn more, go check out my review about this game. But this, I think, is the best overall I can highest recommend for any family game, Sunrise Lane. Well, I hope this helped you find some family games, put them on your radar if you hadn't heard about them, or you learned a little bit more about them. Again, for all of these, most all of these, I already have full reviews of those that you can check out on my YouTube channel that you can subscribe to, and click the bell to be notified when I have new videos. This has been the Game Boy Geek, breaking down barriers, growing relationships through board games by helping you on the next one you love. Game Toppers not only transforms your existing table into a high-quality gaming solution, but they now offer full leg kits and dining cover solutions for the full table application. Paired with over 20 styles of thematic game mats in 11 different sizes from notable board game artists like Vincent Dutray, collapsible cup holders, and real cool accessories, experience what thousands of other gamers enjoy by upgrading every game you play with a Game Topper system. Save hundreds of dollars on Game Topper package deals that are in stock now for immediate shipping at GameToppersLLC.com or click the link below.